Okay, page 31. Read the mantra. The second one, affliction, that is the gross affliction. Is the gross affliction. And otherwise, the afflictions, inappropriate attention, and self-grasping. All three are afflictions. But the third one is why we specifically call it this affliction is because it is a gross affliction. Okay. So what we learned is how to first get rid of the contaminated karmas, negative karmas, 10 non-virtuous karmas. Okay, now imagine that the ferocious waves have already stopped. Ferocious wave of the negative karmas stop. What happens after the ferocious waves? Then we see that in the water you see the bubbles. How do you notice that? When the waves stop and you look at the water, if the water is very clean, then you see the bubbles there. The bubbles. Very fine bubbles inside. So that is like the afflictions, gross afflictions, attachment, anger, jealousy, and so forth. So we also have to see, try our best to get rid of the afflictions. For example, anger. Anger, keep in mind that anger, when this is some, we see that we are a little short-tempered. So that this is some form of anger. For the anger, what we do is that we have to remind ourselves that anger is a sign of weakness. Anger is not a sign of strength. When someone is angry, people run away. It's so like it is a strength. It's not a strength. It's a sign of weakness. Anger is something which even any ordinary people can easily do. So there's nothing good, there's nothing great in something which even ordinary people can easily do. Even animals can do. For example, if you chase a dog with a stick, the dog will run away. And finally, if the dog is cornered, the dog is trapped in the corner, where the dog cannot run away anymore. What will the dog do? It will attack you. You're getting it? So the dog feels vulnerable. It's not that the dog is strong now. Now the dog has become strong. No. Now the dog feels so vulnerable. I cannot run anywhere. Now the best thing is to attack. So anger, attack. This is a sign of weakness. When you become vulnerable, then you express anger. So anger is a sign of weakness. Always remember that anger is a sign of weakness. And anger, the first thing the anger does is destroy your immune system. The first thing the anger does is destroy your immune system. Once the immune system is gone, your health is gone. Once health is gone, then your dharma is gone. Without good health, you cannot really practice the dharma. So therefore, it is so important that we should stop the anger. So this, for example, anger. Then the number 2 is the attachment. For the attachment, of course, there are various methods taught to how to curb attachment. And particularly for the attachment, we can go for the next one, which is inappropriate attention. Okay, let's say for the attachment, there's the practice of the meditation on the impurities and so forth, seeing the self, seeing the person, seeing the self in the form of inside organs like the fatty tissues and the internal organs, which is quite scary to look at. So these methods were taught. And so the point is that see how much we can get rid of the negative karmas, then get rid of the gross afflictions. Try your best. Try your best. It's not that today we learn about this, tomorrow we become totally free of this. No, we can't expect this much. Try your best. This is very important. Then, what's next? Inappropriate attention. What is inappropriate attention?
Exaggeration.
Exaggeration of the characteristics of the object. Let's say that, okay, see anything. Oh, this flower is so beautiful. So that this is exaggeration of the qualities. For the exaggeration of the qualities, then this gives rise to the attachment, anger, jealousy, and so forth. So what we do is that we try to curb this problem also. Curb this problem, the problem of the exaggerated qualities. How to do that? By seeing things in relative terms. Seeing things in relative terms. For example, so if you're getting salary, say like 50,000 a month, and then if you look at somebody who is earning less than you, there's somebody earning just like 10,000 a month, and then then you may feel egoistic, or you may feel happy. Okay, I get 10,000, I'm getting 50,000. It's very good. And then when you look at somebody else who's getting 2 lakhs per month, I'm just 50,000. Right? You feel so low. You feel so like I'm just hopeless person. I'm not good at anything. Okay. So false exaggeration of the qualities. In fact, you get 50,000, you can be happy. You get even 20,000, you can be happy. You can get 10,000, even that you can be happy. The point is, this is the only way that you can get like 20,000. And if there's no other possibility, if no choice, then don't look at somebody who's earning better than you. Look at those who are getting just 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000. Then you feel that, okay, I'm not bad. Your self-confidence will build up. And then when you feel a little egoistic, then think of the better ones. When you feel egoistic, think of the better ones. Then your ego will go down. In fact, we have 2 mental states. One is ego, one is self-confidence. Ego and self-confidence. It is so important for us to know that these two are not one. Oftentimes what we do is that we equate these two, ego and self-confidence. When you say that, oh, he's very self-confident, we may be feeling, you may not feel like mixing with that person, thinking that person is egoistic. When you say that person, oh, this person doesn't have ego, oh, then that's very good. Then we can appoint him as the executive director, CEO of the company. No, he has no self-confidence. You're getting it? So we see so when the ego is up, self-confidence also is up. When the ego is down, self-confidence is also down. This is what happens usually. Now what is the mark of dharma? What is the mark of dharma? Whether or not somebody is a dharma practitioner, how can we see that? Oh, the person spends 10 hours or 3 hours in meditation every day. This is not necessarily the mark of the person being spiritual. What is the real mark of spirituality is if the person, because of the practice the person is doing, if the ego is subsided and the self-confidence boosts up. Self-confidence, tremendous self-confidence, but the ego is not there. This is a mark of your spiritual practice, the success of your spiritual practice. So this is so important. For example, say generally speaking, what is ordinary person? Okay, some of you may know this expression, that if you want to know the person so well, give power in his hand. The moment you give power in his hand, the person becomes egoistic, which means that the person is very low quality. Whereas you give the power to the person, and the person becomes even more sensible, kind, accommodating, and helpful. That's the mark of the person's successful practice. So therefore, the point is that the ego and self-confidence, with the Dharma practice, you should subdue the ego and boost the self-confidence. Okay, so that's very important. With this in mind, I'll say the point is that what brings agitation in the mind is the ego. What brings happiness is the self-confidence. So we should never ever undermine our self-confidence, always boost our self-confidence while not giving into ego. We must subdue the ego and boost self-confidence. This is very important. Okay. And so this is about curbing the inappropriate attention. Always try to see things in relative terms. Then what is next? Self-centered attitude, self-grasping ignorance. Self-grasping ignorance. For this, okay, thus far, say, removing inappropriate negative karmas, then removing the gross afflictions, removing inappropriate attention. For that, even if somebody does not have any exposure to philosophy, still the person can be very successful in this practice. But for the last one, to get into the self-grasping ignorance, we cannot do that unless until we have exposure to the philosophy of emptiness. So therefore it is so important for us to be exposed to the study of the philosophy of emptiness. And being in Bangalore, I would say that you are very fortunate. Number one, there's Choe here. And then like almost every weekend, there's Venerable, the Rabdala here, and the other teachers, they come here. We are very fortunate. Then always there's some teachings happening here, group discussions happening here. This is so precious. And then very close to Sarah Monastery, which means that His Holiness the Dalai Lama gives teachings. So there, and then there's a Sangha member here, very senior Sangha members here. They can then give you directions as to what kind of teachings happening around in Dharamsala and so forth. So this is how we can grow. That you are very fortunate. Okay. For that matter, say for this to get into the self-grasping ignorance, for this, however decent you are, however nice a person is, without exposure to the study of emptiness, there's no way by which, even if you sit for retreat of some mantras, like reciting 100,000 times, 100,000 times with mantras, this wisdom of emptiness will not come to you. This must come to us only through the study of emptiness extensively. For that matter, being close to a Dharma center such as Choe, this is very extremely fortunate and precious. Okay, so this is how we should be doing. With this in mind, let's continue reading page 62. What is the page number of the other text? 58. Page 58 of page 62. Okay, we continue reading this. After the stanza, Avalokiteshvara. It is like this. Now these are the wordings of the Buddha. Avalokiteshvara. It is like this after the stanza. Avalokiteshvara. It is like this. The dependent Arya saying is the Dharmakaya of all the Buddhas. Meaning that, okay, that's interesting. Okay, what is this? Flower.
Bright flower.
Huh? White flower or beautiful flower? Okay, let's say a flower. This flower comes into being by dependence on many other factors. So therefore this is dependently originated. How? So this is made of hundreds, I think it has minimum like 100 petals. Minimum 100 petals. And then the petals are being held together by the hub. What is the inside called?
Calyx.
Huh?
Calyx.
Calyx. Okay, so this being held by the calyx. And the calyx is supported by the stem. This stem. Right? Okay. And that the flower remains as fresh because the temperature around is not 48 degrees centigrade. If it is 48 degrees centigrade, within few hours it will just droop. Okay, it remains so fresh, maybe from yesterday's. Which means it remains so fresh because of the good temperature. But depends, and then there's water down there, water, good temperature, fresh air, and the petals, and so forth. But depends on these factors. This flower, this also is seen as a fresh flower. And do you agree with me that this flower is made of cells? This is made of thousands and thousands of cells. You agree with me? You agree with me? Okay. We studied that. And the cells are made of nucleus, cytoplasm, and the cell membrane. Right? And the cytoplasm is made of, the nucleus is made of chromosomes, DNA, chromosomes. And chromosomes are made of DNA molecules. DNA molecules are made of, all the DNA molecules are made of, no. DNA molecules are made of atoms. Right? And the atoms are made of electrons, protons, neutrons. Okay. So we see that what we see as a flower is actually just the billions, a pool of atoms. Do you agree with me? Right? Which of the atoms is the beautiful flower? Which of the atoms is the beautiful flower? Tell me. Huh? All of them together is a beautiful flower. I see. Then the bunch of atoms of the rock is a not beautiful flower. It's like against the same, right? A bunch of atoms. This is also a bunch of atoms. Also a bunch of atoms. What's the difference? Why do you call one as flower? Why do you call one as a rock? Huh?
Properties.
No, properties are electrons, protons, neutrons.
Based on
What's
the
the difference?
appearance.
What's the difference? Yes, right.
Based on the appearance.
Wow, okay. If you go to electrons, protons, neutrons, proton of the rock, proton of this flower, is there any difference?
No.
Proton wise. Proton, let's say the carbon. The proton, no, the carbon, yeah, the proton. Proton, there's no difference. The carbon nucleus, number of the protons may differ within the carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, but the proton per se, the proton which constitutes the proton of the rock and the proton of the flower is the difference. There's no difference. So why one is called as flower, why one is rock?
We label it.
Huh?
We label it.
But you see it's different, right? One is seen as flower, whether we label it flower or not, whatever, it doesn't matter, you see it as flower, one is seen as rock, right? Why? Why do we see them as different? Okay, Ramji gave the answer, is on the basis of the appearance that we get. Appearance. What Ramji gave the answer? Okay, since we don't have much time, I'll not go into detail, let's make it very quick here. Okay, say group A and group B. Group A and group B. Let's say that group A looks at it through your naked eyes, and group B looks at through your electron microscope. Okay, through electron microscope you see just atoms, let's say atoms. Okay, group A, what do you see? Flower. Group B, what do you see? Atoms. Okay, let's say. Now pertaining to the flower, whether you see flower or not, this is I'm more interested in. Group B, what do you see? Flower. Group B, what do you see? No flower. No flower. You're getting just atoms. None of the atoms are flower. It's just there's no flower there. Okay, now tell me, which of the two answers is correct? Group A said flower, group B says no flower. Which is correct?
Neither is correct, or both are correct.
No. Okay, what is correct? If you say neither is correct, then I'll make it very quick. I'll make it very easy. Right? Tomorrow morning, Breakfast is neither breakfast, no breakfast. Tomorrow don't give breakfast there. Right? Sakit will not get breakfast. Right? No lunch also. No table because there's no lunch. No lunch. Right? Okay, that's the easiest one. Anybody who comes with this answer, this is the easiest. Right? Just say that tomorrow no breakfast because there's no breakfast, no breakfast. Okay, so tell me which is correct. Okay, if you say both of them, okay, let me say. This is a paper, this non-paper. What is this? Paper, and I say this non-paper, who's correct?
You are the teacher, then you are.
No, don't waste the time, we have only got another 27 minutes. Okay, tell me, you said that this is paper. I said that this is non-paper. Who's correct? You're correct. I'm wrong. Right? How can the same object be paper as well as non-paper? Likewise, how can the same object be flower and non-flower? Right? Hey, group A, what is this? Group B, what is this? No flower. Atoms, no flower. Who's correct? Huh? Hey, who's correct? Rahim, who's correct? Which group is correct?
Depends on the context.
Perspective.
No, I said the group B looks at through electron microscope.
That's what I'm
This
saying.
is context.
We're looking through our naked eyes, so we see
Yeah,
the
so
flower.
my question to you is, who's correct? You said this is flower, group B says this is a non-flower. Who's correct?
Both are correct.
How can both be correct? You said that this flower, this paper, this non-paper, both cannot be correct.
Since that is paper, this is flower, it is different.
No, I'm talking about the paper. See, I'm bringing two scenario. First scenario, the paper. You say that this paper, I said this non-paper. I'm wrong. Because same object cannot be paper as well as non-paper. If this is the rationality, group A says this flower, group B says this is non-flower. Who's correct? And group B is looking at through electron microscope. Both are?
Remove the electron microscope.
No. Look at through electron microscope. Group B, look at through electron microscope. Group A, look at through naked eyes. Who's correct? Group A sees flower, group B sees non-flower. Who's correct? Huh? Yes, Niraj.
Correct, because
Both are correct. Both are correct. Now you have to see the nuance between these two examples. You should be able to say that these two examples are not same. One example where you say that this paper and I said this non-paper. Then who is correct? If you say both can be correct. What you said is correct, what I said is wrong, because the same object cannot be paper as well as non-paper. One, is it valid statement or not? It's valid statement, keep that aside. Now with the flower. Group A says the flower, group B electron microscope, this is non-flower. Who's correct? You said both are correct. How can, my argument towards you is, how can both be correct? The same object cannot be flower as well as non-flower. How can both be
we are
correct?
looking at the electrons.
Say it again. Okay, so what Nishida is saying is that with this object, the card, you and me, both of us are looking at the same object with the same frame of reference. We are looking at the same object with the same frame of reference, which is the naked eyes. Whereas this flower, two of you are not looking at with the same frame of not with the same frame of reference. You are using two frames of reference. Because you are using two frames of reference, you are seeing two different things. There's no harm. For example, okay, Asmita. Okay, let's say Asmita, what is your mother's name? Huh? Lila. Okay, let's say the Sanika looks at Asmita and she says, my mother. And Lila looks at Asmita, my daughter. Who's correct? Huh? Asmita says, oh, this is my mother. And Lila looks at Asmita ji and says, this is my daughter. Who's correct?
Both are correct.
Both are correct. How can both be correct? Because the same person is seen through two different frames of reference. So when you look at the same object through two different frames of reference, the same object can be seen in two different ways. You getting it? Same object can be seen in two different ways. There's no problem with it. Whereas if you look at the same object through the same frame of reference and you see two different things, then we can go wrong. Okay. So for this reason, it says that Heart Sutra, form is empty. What's next? Emptiness form. Then what's next? Emptiness not other than form. Then next? Form is also not other than emptiness. Okay, let us not forget this. Now let's say, group A, what you seeing is a flower, form. Group B, what you seeing is non-form, empty of form. What group A sees as form is what group B sees as emptiness of form. Form is empty. You getting it? Form is empty. Now what group B sees as emptiness, form is not there, flower is not there. Emptiness is what group A sees as form. Emptiness is form. You getting it? Okay. Now, are you two who said that this is a form, this is not form, are you two talking of the same object or different objects? For that you have to say, okay, what is this group A? Hey, group A, what is this? Form, flower, form. Group B, what is this? Emptiness of form. So now, what group A says is a form is not different from what group B says is emptiness of form. Form is not other than emptiness. Now, what group B, hey, group B, what is this? Emptiness of form. Hey, group A, what is this? Form. What group B sees as emptiness of form is not different from what group A sees as a form. So, emptiness is not different from the form. You're getting it? Okay. Now, if you know this, what's the benefit? Form is empty. What's the benefit? If you know that form is empty, meaning that form, when you look at through electron microscope, then if flower disappears, what's the benefit? Okay, let's say that how many of you still remember your dream? A very scary dream in your life. How many still remember? How many of you had scary dreams in your life? At least once in your lifetime. At least once. Okay, all of us. Kamalji? Yes. Okay, we all had the scary dreams. Now, do you remember those? Can you remember those the scary dreams? What are the scary dreams? Are you scared of it now? You're not scared. Why are you not scared now? Because you know that there is a dream. You're getting it? Because that you know that this is not real. It's just dream. Dream means coming from a mind. You're getting it? Okay. So this. Group A says this is a flower. Group B says this is emptiness of the flower. So what's the difference? Rahim very beautifully said, that's just the appearance. Two different appearances are coming. Appearances in the mind of the subject or object. Appearances in the mind, subject. You're getting it? Like the dream. Dream is coming from the subject. Even this as appearance. Actually, it is just a bunch of atoms. None of the atoms are flower. But from distance you see as a flower. This is just appearance. If you go towards the object, you will end up seeing the atoms. You will not see the flower. But it appears as a flower to a mind from distance. Like the way you see the dream as real. When you wake up, you realize that, oh, why should I be scared of this dream? This comes from a mind. Likewise, when you see that it's just appearance. Appearance, there's nothing really, there's a flower. It's just a bunch of atoms, and from distance you see this is a flower. Appearance of flower. This appearance is purely coming from your mind. Just as when you realize something's dream, you're not scared. Likewise, when you realize that all our sufferings, all our mental agitation sufferings, they're all coming from our mind. Like waking up, seeing the dream as dream, seeing the dream as not real, your anxiety, stress, and depression disappears. So this benefit of seeing the form is empty. That form is coming from your mind, not from the object. From the object is empty. The benefit is all your problems will dissolve. Next, emptiness is form. When you see that, although it is, when you go to the object, you see that it is, the flower is empty, just a bunch of atoms there. Bunch of atoms. Then from distance, by dependence on the bunch of atoms, then light, and then there's something to hold on this, calyx, holding on this, and your mind, from distance you see this is a flower, and very likely for the cows, this is a beautiful food. For us, this is a beautiful flower, right? Okay, so there, for us, this appears a beautiful flower. For the cows, it appears as beautiful, delicious food. It's very different. So this appearance coming, and then when you realize that this appearance is coming by dependence of many other factors, and then you want to see a fresh flower, or you want to see what is that? Withering flower.
Fresh.
You want to see a fresh flower. If you want to see a fresh flower, that fresh flower comes to be by dependence on many other factors, like water, temperature. So you have to create the factors dependent on which it appears as fresh. You getting it? So when you see emptiness as form, you see that dependent origination. But dependence on these factors, then it appears as a fresh flower. But depends on many factors, things appear as compassion. By dependence on seeing that your happiness is dependent on others. Your happiness is dependent on others, but depends on others. Your happiness arises, then by dependence on others, your happiness originates, dependent origination. Then you feel respectful towards others, your compassion grows. In other words, emptiness is form. When you see emptiness form, you see emptiness as dependent origination. By seeing dependent origination, then you see that the whole functionality of the world, compassion, all the virtues grow by seeing dependent origination. By seeing emptiness, by seeing emptiness, all your mental disturbance will stop. By seeing dependent origination, all your virtues will grow. You're getting it? By seeing dependent origination, all your virtues will grow. By seeing emptiness, all your mental agitation and suffering will stop. Okay. So it says, we continue reading the text, 62. Avaruteshvara, it is like this. The dependent arising is the Dharmakaya of all the Buddhas. Okay. Dependent arising is the form. Form is empty. Form, dependent arising. And the Dharmakaya here is the emptiness. Dependent arising, dependent origination. These two mean the same. It's matter of translation. Dependent arising is the Dharmakaya of all the Buddhas. It's the emptiness. Emptiness, which is like say from the sky, from the empty sky, then the clouds can be formed. Clouds can be formed. Because of the clouds, then the rains can be formed. Because of the rains, then the seeds will germinate and crops will give rise to beautiful flowers grow. You're getting it? So this all happens because of the empty sky. Empty sky gives a space for the rain to be formed. No, the clouds to be formed, and the clouds will give rise to the rain, and the rain will give rise to the sprouting of the beautiful flowers and the crops. So the real, the factor for the flowering and the crops is the empty sky up there. So the empty sky, emptiness, is the Dharmakaya. The dependent arising is the Dharmakaya of all the Buddhas. One who sees dependent arising sees the Tathagata. So if you see this emptiness, then you see that going closer to this object, the flower disappears. Then what's the flower? Flower is just appearance coming to your mind. The appearance coming to your mind, appearance purely mental, subjective. So it says that who sees dependent arising will see the Tathagata, which means Tathagata means a Buddha. You become a Buddha. If you see dependent arising, then you will see that nothing exists objectively. Everything is like dream. You will see that everything is like dream. So when you see the dream as real, this is ignorance or wisdom. Ignorance. When you see the dream as real, this is ignorance. So because you see the dream as real, then in the dream you are scared. If you realize that the dream is not real, if the dream is dream, you will not be scared. When will you realize the dream is dream? In the dream or waking up? When you wake up, it's for this reason that the Buddha is referred to as the fully awakened one. Buddha is referred to as the fully awakened one. When you're fully awakened, then you are not affected by the dream anymore. In the dream, you are affected by the dream. You have to run, right? Tiger comes in the dream. What do? You play with the tiger. You run away. You run away. So why? Because you see the dream tiger is a real tiger. Then it scares you. That makes you run away. When you run away, there's so much of fear. When you wake up, will you run away? You will not run away. You will stop, knowing that it's all coming from our mind. So therefore, it is so important for us to be awakened. When you awaken, you are free from the ignorance. Okay. So it says, one who sees dependent arising, if you see dependent arising, then you will see that everything is like a dream. When you see that, then you become a Tathagata. Tathagata means you become a Buddha, you become a fully awakened one, Tathagata. Avalokiteshvara, if a faithful son or daughter of a noble family meaning the Buddha's lineage, anybody who wants to become a Buddha, Buddha's lineage, builds a remote place, in a remote place, a stupa the size of a gooseberry. What's the size of a gooseberry? Very tiny, very small, very tiny container, a very small container, okay, very small, very small. Even this is too big. Big container is good. Even being a very small container is fine. Very small container, like say a faithful son or daughter of a noble family, builds in a remote place, a stupa the size of a gooseberry fruit, with a central pillar the size of a needle, a very tiny needle as the central pillar, and a parasol the size of a flower, umbrella the size of a flower, just covering like this, or this tiny thing, out of respect for the stupa, a size of flower of bagula tree, and inserts this verse which is Edarma hetu prabhava hetum desham tatakato hevata desham jayo nirodha evam vadima shamana swaha. So this mantra, if you can insert this in this tiny gooseberry, so if it is the bigger container, it is even easier and better. Then you can put the mantra inside with the central pillar of a needle size, and then surrounded that is the mantra, and you, out of respect, you put a flower or whatever as an umbrella, parasol. So this is an incredible accumulation of merit. Okay. And insert this verse of dependent arising. Why this becomes so precious? Now this becomes a stupa. Stupa does not necessarily mean that it should have all the different shapes and so forth. With the particular standard shapes is very good, very precious. But even without that, if you don't know how to make this, still you can make stupas. Very tiny stupa, bigger stupa, you can make that. See, as long as this mantra is inside, you have a stupa there. So put the mantra there, to insert this verse of dependent arising. This mantra is known as the mantra of essence of dependent arising, dependent origination, which is the Dharma Dhatu. Dharma Dhatu means ultimate reality. Ultimate reality. He or she will generate the merit of Brahma, generate enormous merit that equals to you to take birth as a Brahma, which means that you will generate so much of merit. It is not necessary that that to take birth as a Brahma is good. No, it's not necessary. It simply means the amount of merit. This merit you can use for your Dharma practice to become Buddha. He or she will generate the merit to Brahma. When such person pass on from here and die, by accumulating such merit, if we die, they will be reborn in the world of Brahma. Meaning that they have the merit. For example, say, if you put so much effort, and if you get like, for example, so okay, let's say the Mercedes-Benz, what's the cost price? What's the cost?
When I purchased, it was 77.
Huh? No, 10. Huh?
It's between
About
36
50
and
lakhs.
75.
Okay, let's say if you accumulate this much of merit through this much of, say, the money out of your hard work, if you're saving like 100 lakhs, then you have the money to buy this beautiful car. But doesn't mean that you have to buy the car. You can use it for very productive things. Likewise, if you, by this merit of one making such a small stupa, including with the mantra, Yedharma mantra inside, give so much respect to this, you show devotion to this, you accumulate so much merit that equals for you to, when you die, to take birth in the Brahma realm. But it's not necessary that you have to take birth there. This merit you can use for other greater purposes of generating bodhicitta, then benefiting other sentient beings. Pray that through this may I be able to benefit all sentient beings. Okay. When they pass on from there and die, they will be reborn with fortunes equally those of the gods of the pure balls. So the point is that with this, the indication that this mantra is precious. This mantra. Now the Buddha said that this, if you can make such a small stupa with this mantra inside, you can receive such merit. And more than that, if you know the meaning of this and if you recite it every day, that is even more beneficial. That is even more greater accumulation merit for you. So therefore, after knowing the mantra, the meaning of this mantra, it will be so good if you can recite this on a daily basis, minimum like 3 times, 7 times a day, right? Then you will really accumulate so much merit. Oftentimes, say for example, in the family to have a very cordial family, friendly family, warm family, this also results in merit. If you don't have a merit, unnecessary fights happen in the family, and unnecessary tragedies happen in the family. So therefore, we need to accumulate merit. 1. Then the more importantly, merit is for the parents to make sure the children they grow up healthy, they grow up with good education, they grow up with, and eventually they get a good job. Eventually they are happy. This is what the parents expect. If this is your parents' expectation, then again accumulation merit. These are all the results of the merit. So the parents should make sure that you accumulate merit by reciting Yedharma mantra. You also teach this to your children and let the children also accumulate the same mantra and they accumulate merit. This is so precious. And meanwhile, just the mantra per se is so. What we do is that let yourself know the meaning of the mantra. Know the meaning of the mantra. Teach the meaning of the mantra to your children, to family members, and of course, family, particularly elders. You have to see whether they are eager to do that. Don't force. Don't force your parents. Well, now this mantra is very important. You should learn this. Don't force it. Just share the benefit of this mantra. And if they are eager, then you can teach them. If they are not eager, don't force. This never ever force. Okay. So from this what we learn is that finally that we have to know this mantra, we have to know the meaning of this mantra and see how much we can recite this on a daily basis to reap the maximum benefit out of this. And from this, then the merit multiplies. As your merit multiplies, your health improves. Your family, there's a greater harmony coming into being. And in your job, you see that what the mundane world calls a success automatically comes into play. Okay, these are, and then your dharma connection, more importantly, dharma connection, we see that the dharma connection is going to be very successful. Okay, unhindered. After the Blessed One means the Buddha, has spoken these words, the hearers, bodhisattvas, the whole assembly, and universal gods, humans, asuras and gandharvas, rejoice and praise his teaching. Okay, this is the Noble Mahayana Sutra, depending on what I was saying. I'll just, as an auspicious indication, I'll read from the beginning. Homage to the all gods and bodhisattvas. Thus did I hear at one time. The Blessed One was in the realm of the 33 gods, seated on the throne of Indra, with him great heroes such as the Venerable Ashvijit, Bodhisattva Masters such as Noble Maitreya, Noble Abhideshvara, Vaishnaphani, who are adorned with immeasurable precious qualities, as well as various gods such as the great Brahma, who is the Lord of the Saha world, Narayan, the great Ishvara, Sakara, who is the chief of the gods, and Panchasika, who is the king of the carnivals. On the occasion, Bodhisattva Master Abhideshvara rose from his seat and having draped his upper robe over one shoulder, knelt down. With his right knee on the peak of Mount Meru, his palm put together, he then bowed towards the Blessed One and addressed these words to him. Blessed One, these gods all really wish to build a stupa. Now that they are present in this entourage, please teach them the Dharma in such way so that the merit of Brahma will increase and the merit of monks, nuns, laymen, laywomen will increase, much more than that of all types of beings in the world of gods. Maras, Brahma, including renunciants and Brahmins. At this, the Blessed One spoke the words of dependent arising. He Dharma Hetu Prabhava, Hetum Desham Tadavato, Hevata, Desham Chayu Nirud, Evo Madhyamashramane Soham. All phenomena arise from causes. The cause are taught by the Padagata, the cessation process as well as taught by the great seer. Okay, good. So we'll stop here. Now, since that we have little time, instead of going to rushing through the three principal parts, I will invite some questions that will be more meaningful. Any question that you might have from the earlier teachings, meaning the earlier teachings from the other teachings, and the books that you read, whatever question that you might have, I'll be very happy. So this would be my share of learning from you. I take your questions. In fact, I learned 2 questions from this girl in the car. From this girl. Very good questions. Okay, likewise, if you have questions, there would be like my share of the Dharma from you, and I'll take this to Delhi. From this, I'll grow myself. Okay, any questions? Yes?
Given the fact that suffering is there, can we choose not to suffer? Despite, you see, there could be certain instances which might create suffering in others' minds. But, like we said, the aggregates are themselves suffering in nature. But can we choose not to suffer?
Okay, this is a good question. Okay, before that, it's a good reminder for me, the Sakala, that I came to a sense that there are a number of people who are interested in more systematic studies of the Dharma. So those of us here who are interested in more systematic studies of Dharma, there are many programs in many places. And just for information, there are 2 programs Tibet House launched. One which is a very 4-year program, Nalanda Masters course, but of course this is not open at the moment. This is introduced only once in 4 years. So therefore, right now there's already a program going. The second batch will be introduced only after the first batch, graduation of the first batch. Whereas there is another program. First program was launched by His Holiness the Dalai Lama in 2016. December 6th. December 6th, His Holiness launched this program, Nalanda Masters course. And then the very next year, Nalanda Diploma course was introduced. Which is for 1 year. So that is much easier as compared to the first one. The first one involves heavy text studies, textual studies, whereas the Nalanda Diploma course is not the textual studies, but you get very systematic knowledge of about the teachings of Buddhism. So all of those who are interested, there's a great opening coming up. That is in October, enrollment. Registration, enrollment will begin in October this year, and the commencement of the course will happen in January next year. So this would be a very good. And then among the students, in the first place, we try to make it with the financial, with zero the expense, but then people don't value this. So therefore we charge a little bit, but for the students, for the monastics and students, even very minimal charge. From there, for the students and the monastics, 75%. Out of this very small charge, 75% is still discounted for the students, and the students meaning university, college, and even schools. But practically speaking, for the schools, I would say that wait till you graduate, meaning you finish your school. Okay, so this is a possibility there. This is what I would suggest you there. So now going back to the question, is about with the given situation where otherwise we can potentially go into a very difficult mental agitation so forth. Is there a possibility for somebody to choose not to suffer? This question. Okay. So the point is that, say, with a given situation where otherwise people would easily be agitated and go through such a traumatic experience of pains, whether or not there's a possibility for the people to choose not to suffer. This is quite a serious question. That in the first place we have to keep in mind that nobody wants to suffer, and people do suffer. Nobody wants suffering. Everybody chooses not to suffer, but they are suffering, which means that we are following this principle. Ye dharma hetu prakava. As long as the causes are intact, the suffering is invariable. Invariably will arise. Now, whether or not there's a way by which we can cut the factors for suffering. Choose not to suffer. If you really choose not to suffer and to make it actually happen, everybody chooses not to suffer, but the thing is that it doesn't happen. Now the thing is not just to choose not to suffer, but also that to make sure that it happens, that you don't suffer. How to make it happen is by knowing that the suffering is the result of the causes. See how to curb the causes, how to mitigate the causes, to mitigate the power of the suffering, to eradicate the causes, to eradicate the suffering altogether. So with this, it is 100% possible. Not only that you can choose not to suffer, but also that you can make it really happen, that the suffering is stopped. That is very possible. So how? Long term, short term. Long term, short term, say try to stay away from the external factors and stay away from the internal factors which you can get rid of. For example, negative karmas. Negative karmas, in most cases we can stay away from negative karmas. We can. For this we don't really need to have an extensive study. Even someone who's a very decent non-believer families, some of the families, the parents, they are so decent, it's amazing. They don't believe in any religion. But look at how they take care of their children, how they deal with the neighbors, how they deal with the community. It's amazingly decent. So for even these decent people who have no religious belief, still they stay away from 10 non-versus karmas. This is what we can do. And then the afflictions. Afflictions, okay, they're bound to arise in us once in a while, but then see how to avoid these by the corresponding remedies. That too, it does not really require one to be, have extensive studies in philosophy. Then the next one is the inappropriate attention. For that we have to learn how to see things in relative terms. Then even that can be curbed to a great extent. And then finally, if you really want to get into suffering from the root, to curb the suffering from the root, then you have to get into this self-grasping the roots. That is the final root. You start this, and then you can choose not to suffer. Not only that, you can actually make it happen. Yeah.
But Venerable, if you can choose not to suffer, only through the wisdom of emptiness.
Okay, I will say like this. For example, let's say, I'm very severely suffering from I've seen suffering from diabetes. I have a high level of high sugar level. And then in the mornings, I have a bunch of medicines, diabetic medicines for my diabetes. Ayurveda medicines, allopathic medicines, Tibetan medicines, homeopathic medicines, bunch of medicines. And on the other side is Coca-Cola and cheesecake. Right? Okay. So with this, the point is that the medicines are there, but then here, the Coca-Cola is there. You take the Coca-Cola. And this is not I'm faking. I've seen that. It's one of my friends. I said, what is this? This is my medicine for my diabetes. What is this? This is allopathic. What is this? This is homeopathic. What is this? This is Ayurveda. Right? Bunch. And what is this? I like it. Coca-Cola. Right? If this is our attitude, then we can't really expect to get into the suffering. Yet, say you have the glucose level quite high, and then, okay, the glucose level was so high, and I went to Choe, I learned that it's about cerebral ignorance, finally, because of all the suffering, but I don't know what cerebral ignorance, I don't know, but I know how to get rid of the Coca-Cola. Stay away from Coca-Cola. Your glucose level will be under control. You getting it? So there are many problems which we can keep check by avoiding the external factors. There are many problems. It's not necessary that we should have the, only if you have to realize the emptiness, then you can, the problems can be solved. Many problems can be solved by taking care of the external factors and taking care of the internal factors, which we can easily deal with. Whereas, what we are talking about here is to get rid of the suffering completely, to curb the suffering, to make it zero, no matter what external factors, like Tsongkhapa, no matter what external factors, how ferocious external factors is, the internal pain never arises. Because you remove the internal factor completely, then it's like this sound of one hand. Sound clap, one hand. Sound stops. So this is what we discussed yesterday as a long-term measure. Short-term measure, long-term measure. We have to take care of both. Any more questions? Yes, Abanji?
Isha, you said that in families where there's turbulence, where say children are upsetting parents, not speaking properly to them, etc. And you said that it's not the right thing to do, which there's no denying that. At the same time, we say that the person who's causing you the most disturbance is your guru, because he or she is giving you an opportunity to practice compassion, kindness, and that is going to then get rid of your karma. So then if you don't have that person, then what?
Okay, so we should be very realistic. We should be extremely realistic. Okay, so this is, if we cannot take anything away from these 2 days, at least take one thing. We should be realistic. Be very realistic. Be very practical. This is so important. What do you mean by realistic? Say, we need to grow. We need to grow. This word spiritually, keep that aside. We need to grow in our fearlessness. We need to grow in our happiness. This is, everybody has to do that. So for that matter, how much you have grown, this question. If you've grown just 10%, don't do those things which those people who have already grown 90%. What they do, for example, a baby says that, oh, my elder brother who is 10 years older than me, he is eating all these, very heavy, nutritious food, and he becomes so strong. Also eat it, and you will die. The baby will die, right? So that we should see what level of spiritual development you have reached. If you reach to a level whereby you will see anybody who can be the worst of the enemy, to create the worst of the pain on you, and still be able to see that as an opportunity for you to grow in your spiritual path, this is a very advanced level. Very advanced level, and this is not what everybody can do. So most of the people I would suggest try to stay away from such people. And if this is a mother and child relationship, if it's the mother who is creating this problem for the child, or the child creating a problem for the mother, then we have to tackle it very skillfully. Very skillfully, make sure that that you are not disrupted as much. Your peace of mind is not disrupted, and your peace of mind is not damaged as much. Then your spiritual growth is not damaged. For example, if your arm is broken, you have to go to the crowd, meet with people. If you stay at home like this all the time, you will never grow. You go there, it will become worse. So whereas if you're physically very strong, your arms already healed, everything healed, go to the crowd, it can have tremendous benefit. So you have to see to your situation, what's your spiritual realization. To that extent, you can do that. Whereas, if you reach to that level whereby you can take the adverse situations into your spiritual growth, opportunity for you to grow spiritually, that's amazing. If you have reached that, that's very good. But then, there's no choice for somebody like a mother and child, right? Whether you reach that or not, still you have to tackle the situation in case If there's a problem with your mother, if there's a problem with your child, then you have to deal with this somehow. For that, you have to study and, if possible, seek the help of some people who are more, I wouldn't say realized, or somebody who's more experienced. I would say, for example, the Geshe Lharampa, the Venerable, he's just an amazing person. I know him so well. He can really, give us such advice. Yeah, and whereas for others, try to stay away. Because one talk about here is about the parents and children relationship. You cannot say, okay, now I want to stay away from you. No, it's not easy. But for others, if it's not that kind of family relationship, then you try to stay away from that person till you grow strong. Okay, Rahimji.
What would be like a difference or correlation between intent and motivation?
Okay, this is a good question. This is more specialized question. Okay, let's say motivation. Motivation is the initial trigger, the driving force for any virtues that you engage in. Any trigger, right? For example, okay, now it's going to be what? Okay, this is the beginning of August. It's the beginning of a new month, right? I'll make sure that this month is very productive, so I'll set a proper motivation to make this month very meaningful. So you embark on a journey. To embark on a journey, the motivation, you try to make it something positive motivation, to drive the journey very positively. Motivation is like the rein of the horse, like the steering of the car. That directs where you're going. So motivation is very important. With this motivation, then you speak about the intent. Intent is a very specialized version of the mental function. So their intent is like, say, the intent to do, intention. That's a very specialized version. If you want me to go into more specialized explanation as to what's the relationship between the motivation and the intent. Intent is a part and parcel of this motivation. Motivation is like a big composition. Within this, one of the major factors is the intent. Say, intent to use the August, use the new month productively. Intent. Right? And then within that, there are many other factors involved, but the intent is the most to make the motivation very meaningful.
So, we've talked about wisdom of emptiness. I'm not sure even if we are at the stage of applying it, but if we are, what could be the small steps that we could take in our life, maybe in our, in our jobs, in our family lives, to actually use that wisdom of emptiness? What are the different steps we can take?
What's your name?
Shagun.
Shagun, tell me, how long have you been into the Choe Ling?
In Choe, a few months.
Few months.
Yes.
And how long have you been reading on the wisdom of emptiness?
Few years, but I would not say that I've grasped all that. I've found studied it, but
studied with the help of a teacher?
Mostly books.
Books, okay.
But it's very difficult.
Okay, it is difficult.
It's
yes,
difficult.
But the fact that you connected yourself with the books, even with the books, this is so precious. Just continue with this. It's so precious, and if possible, try to study with the help of a teacher systematically. This is very important. Okay, with this, I'll say but don't ask this question to the monks like Geshe Lharampa. He is fine. He's in Bangalore. The highly learned the monks and Geshis in the South Indian. Don't ask this question to them. They will ask you how many years you studied emptiness. And you said that I didn't study from the books. They will say that. Okay,
you're not ready.
Right? Okay, but this question is very good, even though they may dismiss. You studied for 20 years, you studied for 10 years, then you say, no, I just read books for a few months, then they may dismiss. Even if they dismiss, don't feel discouraged. Right? This question is very important. For that matter, if you want to know right now, you have to promise me that you will study more extensively in the future. If you're going to do that, then I'll give you tips.
I will.
Right. Okay, the tips is that, so when you feed a family like what? With your mother, father? Okay. Father, mother, what's the problem? With your mother?
No, general things in your...
Don't be too vague. Be very precise, because you are asking a very serious question. You cannot be vague. There must be a big problem. What's the big problem?
Maybe in your job life, maybe you're not satisfied, or...
Satisfied with what?
Maybe with the work that is coming, or the load that is coming to you.
Heavy load?
Heavy load on your work, yes. Maybe.
Okay. Heavy load, with a heavy load, what you should think of is that sound of climb. You were here yesterday?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sound of climb. Instead of a heavy load, you say that I must be weak. You're getting it? It's not just a heavy load, because there are people who can do 2 times, 10 times. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he does 100 times more than what we see as heavy. Right? Okay, so in a way what I'm saying is that you are young. You can learn how to tackle things, but we should be very realistic. If you think that this is too much and I cannot keep going like this, you should be very realistic. You should think of getting another job, which is not overwhelming to you. You should be very realistic. Whereas this heaviness is because if you don't like it, even a small thing is very heavy. Right? See if you like it. If you don't like it, go for a job you should like. Don't force yourself. But then till you get the second job, don't quit the first job. Right? Okay. So but with this, for example, whereas if the problem is with your, for example, somebody that you just see the person and it upsets you or agitates you, then try to see the person in a bunch of atoms. See the person, but literally try to see the person. Yes, that's true. He or she is a bunch of atoms. That's true, right? And if you see this person and you cannot think of the bunch of atoms, stay in your room, lock the door, and from inside you think of that person. Yes, this person just has what? It's just a bunch of atoms. It just has about like 3 trillion cells, right? And these cells are made of, say, atoms. And no atom is angry towards me, right? No atom of this person angry towards me. So what is there which I don't like? Why should I be concerned about this bunch of atoms? And you try to practice it. And then when you see the person, you try to see the person in the same light as a bunch of atoms. Your agitation will be much less.
Just one question, Yashika. This statement, dependent arising is the Dharmakaya of all the Buddhas. So, with respect to the flower, so the arising of the flower has something to do with Buddha?
Okay. When we speak about Buddha, we have preconceived idea, superimposition of what Buddha is. Buddha is
Buddha nature, let's say.
whatever, right? When we say Buddha nature, again we think of some beautiful Buddha, nice, beautiful, glowing Buddha. This is a very naive understanding of Buddhahood. This is not the real understanding. Understanding is, first you need to have a glimpse of emptiness. Just a glimpse of emptiness, like a dream. What's the reality of the dream? The dream, not being real, is the reality of the dream. Dream being empty of being real, that's the reality of the dream. So likewise, what's the reality of all these things? That they are empty of objective existence, objective reality, that is the reality. Emptiness, objectivity of the object, that's the reality. You have to get a flavor of this. Once you know this, objective nothing is really there. Because from the object nothing is there, everything arises from the subject. So, nothing from the object, that's the Dharmakaya. Nothing from the object. From the object, nothing is there. That's the Dharmakaya. From this, then everything becomes possible. Good, bad, happiness, misery, they all arise subjectively in this expanse of the emptiness of objective existence. From the Dharmakaya, then the rest of the manifestations arise.
You've been talking about happiness and attachment and all this. Isn't it a natural course of feeling. You know, you feel happy. You are part of nature. You know, when you, so why is it that it's looked as a you know, even sorrow, for example? Why is it a sorrow looked as upon a negative value? So please tell me.
Okay.
Because it's part of our nature. It's part of our experience. It's part of our existence. So why is it that it's rendered as negative?
Okay, did you follow the question?
Yep.
The question is very good. This is what Charles Darwin's evolutionary theory says. These are the instincts. Happiness, miseries, attachment, anger, jealousy, fear, they are all the natural gifts. These are the instincts of the human, gifts from the human evolution. Human evolution from 0.3 million years ago. This is human evolution. So what? And the job of the human being is that you have your species reproduced. Your job is done. Then you reach age 35, 40, 50. Your job is done. Now it's time to leave the world. Right? This is purely for the, this is what Charles Darwin said. This is purely for to maintain, sustain this species. So therefore, your job is done. The moment you reach age 40, 50, time to leave. No, don't waste the time of the young ones. Right? This is Charles Darwin's evolutionary theory. So they said that happiness, suffering, these are nature. But the Buddha said very different. Charles Darwin's principle is based on the belief that the world of the inhabitants is just a physical body. Physical body. It is for us to continue the species, maybe the physical body of the humans, to continue. Just that's your job. Whereas the Buddha sees the body and the mind both. So the Buddha says that, no, even if you are 90 years old, still you are very precious. The Buddha says, Charles Darwin says, no, 90 years is too much. How come that you live that long? You consumed all these resources of the world. Right? Too much. Buddha said, no. You are 90 years, you are 100 years, still you are very precious. Your mind is precious. Right? The whole existence of the humanity is not for the species. It's for the evolving your Buddha nation inside. That each one of us, we should become the happiest person. Charles Darwin said that no, it's not possible. We cannot have the infinite happiness. We cannot have the total fearlessness. This is what Charles Darwin says. Because he could not think about the mind. He only thought about the body. Whereas the Buddha thought about both. It is for this reason that the Buddha emphasized so much on the psychology. Psychology, the mind, think of the mind. So there he said that if we lead a life where the human evolution dictates, we will never evolve, we will never grow, we will never make this beautiful Buddha nature to manifest. We have to do something which is different from what the human evolution gifted you. So what is that? Do things to get rid of negative emotions. Finally, do you want happiness? Do you want suffering or not? Everybody will say, no, I don't want suffering. And Charles Darwin said that, no, you cannot achieve that. You cannot get rid of the suffering completely. Whereas the Buddha said, yes, it is possible. Which is better? Right? So someone who is positive and who gives all the measures, the means by which to make yourself fearless, by which to make yourself the infinite happiness. That's so precious. This is what Charles Darwin failed to address. So our thoughts, particularly after going to delve into modern education, and then not exposed to this side of the wisdom, the tendency is that people slide into Charles Darwin's evolutionary theory. Yeah. Yes?
You said like all of us actually want to correct good merit, right? So isn't that actually being selfish for our own reasons or correct?
Okay, wow. Okay, seeking the merit accumulation, so that we will be happy. Is this not selfish in thinking? That's true. Okay, anybody who can help me? Huh? Yes, Sakila.
Yeah, if it's merit, excellent. Then you the more merit you get more good things.
No, what she's saying is that what the text says, she's going through the text. The text says that all the source of your happiness is the merit. And merit accumulation, happiness through this. So you can accumulate merit and you can take birth to the distinguished, the realms like the Brahma realms, so forth. So it is not selfish.
His Holiness Dalai Lama said that you can be selfish, but you should be intelligently selfish.
It's a virtuous motivation.
Is it selfish or not?
It's selfish,
It
but
is
in a
selfish, but
virtuous
it's
way.
selfish.
Intelligent selfishness because you can benefit more. It depends on
What this girl is saying is that it did not talk about helping others and so forth. It only talked about you taking birth in the Brahma realm. I will take birth in the Brahma realm.
Yes, that is
Yeah, so
selfish.
that you can serve
That's
people.
selfish.
So
That is selfish.
the motivation is
That is selfish.
positive.
No. Taking birth in the Brahma realm is selfishness.
Selfishness.
Yes.
This is not really right.
In the sense, taking birth in the Brahma realm, you are not going to benefit anybody. Actually, we know that.
Why not? We can.
In the formless realm?
So Brahma is not formless.
The form realm?
Form realm, yeah. Okay, Brahma, Rahim, you like to give the answer?
Isn't merit accumulated by acts of selflessness?
This is not right.
Okay, merit can be accumulated
By acts of selflessness.
by acts of selflessness alone, or
I don't know. I'm asking.
Rahim is taking a very safe stand. And he says, you? I said, I'm asking. But look, your question scares everybody. Sanika, anybody? Ishwar? No. Question one. Village none. No. Yeah, give me 26 one.
I think it depends on your goal. Depends on your motivation, your goal. Why you want the merit. You want the merit is for your own happiness, then this is selfish. And if the motivation is for the benefit of more people, it's not really selfish.
Okay, she's happy. Okay, so what Venerable Ramdana says is that accumulation of merit per se, it does not mean anything, whether it's selfish, not selfish, but the motivation. I'm accumulating merit so that I'll be happy. This is going to be selfish thought, so that I can benefit others. This is a very wholesome motivation. There's nothing wrong in it. Very good, thank you.
Probably,
Now you have found your teacher here? Yeah, Sanika? Yeah. Okay, any more questions? Any more questions? Okay, if not, we'll stop here. We'll turn to the end declaration prayer. Page 288. Arjanaji verses 7 book. The first book, 278. Okay, some have 278, some have 288. Okay, let us dedicate Maris Das gathered that His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the true source of joy and happiness of this earth, that he lives long and that his wishes be fulfilled spontaneously. And may we also dedicate Maris Das gathered that all these great seeds of learning, like Ganden, Sera, Drepung, Gyudmed, and all the monastic universities of Sakya, Kagyu, Nyingma, Gedo, all these centers thrive in the activities of study, reflection, meditation, and from which, as many great practitioner teachers come into being. And let me also personally dedicate Maris Das gathered that each one of you, through a concerted effort in this practice of the wisdom of emptiness and bodhicitta, may you soon see the dawn of the actual bodhicitta and wisdom of emptiness, so that you become such a reliable guide to lead all devil sentient beings to the ultimate happiness. May the teaching of the wisdom of emptiness flourish in all 10 directions. May the teaching of bodhicitta flourish in all 10 directions and minds of sentient beings of the present and the future. Okay, with that in mind, let's turn to page 288 or 278. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful generously Tenzin Gyatso, reaching the life of samsara ends. Just the great Manchushans summoned about their truth, realize things as they are. Also, I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow by perfect example. I dedicate all these rules of virtue with an intention traces the best by all the Buddhas who appeared 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the supreme Bodhicitta that has arise and grow, and may that which is arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. As long as space remains, as long as the change remains, until then, this was the use of the word. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, when we attain the state of Guru Buddha, and did all things without exception into their enlightened states. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 times, and to upholding the Dharma teaching and realization. And all my through the force of this merit, never separate from performance of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplishing all the stages of realization and Bodhicitta perfectly in the 2 stages. With a wish to be all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, until I achieve enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate a mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem, I confess negativities immediately, I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings, I hold verses within my heart. By the power of practice communicating to you, may all be free from sickness, poverty, and conflicts. May all Dharma and auspicious and proliferate in all the places where we abide. The power of union, emptiness, and compassion, but the protector of both the Dharma and the beings of the snows. You are the lotus of the Tenzin Gyatso, we supplicating with their creation spoken spontaneously. May the operations of evil deeds and negative forces of humans and non-humans who help administer those perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be truly vanquished through by the truth of the spirituals. In all my life, never separate from perfect gurus, enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the and could attain the state of Vajradhara. All my future lifetimes, I always be guided by them usually, and be able to uphold the Dharma in general, and the teachings of Tibetan Origination, in particular even at the cost of my life. Venerable to make sure that you continue to be a great inspiration and a great source of, say, the warmth for the people. I can see the tremendous warmth that you display, which is so precious. The teaching of the Buddhist grounded in compassion, and then we have all the staff, all the trustees who have been working, and even the former trustees. And now the new trustees, there are a number of new ones coming up. I really appreciate your efforts. So finally, it is the goodness and on a small scale, we see this, the goodness of the Bangalore people, and on a large scale, it's the goodness of all the sentient beings. It's a great service to the Dharma of the compassion, the Dharma of the wisdom for all beings, and for all beings. So I really appreciate all of you and others who have been coming to the center. I would highly recommend you to make the most of the presence of the Choe here. In many places, people they are keen. They're keen to go somewhere, at least sit and do a little meditation, but they don't have a physical space for them to do so. Whereas Choe is a beautiful space here, and particularly the trustees for the last many years have been coming here, and then this is something so unique. There is such a friendship, harmony, brotherhood, sisterhood spirit there. This is so precious. So I would suggest you all to make the most of being here. And then I'm so happy to hear that the Kamalji is so keen to render some the Dhamma Seva. So I suggested that Kamalji, whenever she gets time, she can come to the center and do a little bit of, you see the advice from the Shandiji, Shantila, and the others as what can be done. So, and the Kamalji and the Narenbatji also, just see how you can contribute to the center. They're wonderful. So, okay, thank you so much for a great job for me. And we have gone to Kachin La here. Kachin Loseling wonderful. So, why not we make the most of the Venerable always being here, and then also Kachin La here. We can make the most of that. Thank you so much, each and every one of you. Thank you so much. Thank you.